Hello, and welcome to this tale on surface pyodermas, superficial pyoderma, and deep pyoderma. Pyotraumatic, superficial, over the deep? Doesn't that just make you think of a traumatic ship sinking scene over the deep waters? No? Well, it does to me. This traumatic scene will be the start of this tale, and just so we remember that this is Pyoderma, we're gonna make it a transport ship. That's carrying banana cream pies, of course. Our pie will be the reoccurring prop for anything neutrophilic pus related. To reinforce this, we are going to name the ship the USS Pie. Tragically, it appears as if the USS Pie is crashing into a large rock, shaped like a 2. Everything in this tale is secondary to that ship crashing. This is because pyoderma is rarely a primary condition, and is usually secondary to things like flea or food allergy, atopic dermatitis, and endocrinopathies. Let's look at our first topic, pyotraumatic dermatitis, otherwise known as acute moist dermatitis. Since this is a surface pyoderma, it will be a life raft floating on the surface of the water. To help us remember pyotraumatic and that it is mostly self-inflicted, we're going to put a poor sun-stoked sailor stabbing his own life raft. Hang on just a little longer, buddy. You're almost to land. Speaking of that sun, notice how it is right over this life raft? Pyotraumatic surface pyodermas is often called hot spots and is associated with inflammation in a moist, hot environment. Right next to our traumatized sailor, we see another life raft that seems to be folding over on a rock. Reminds me of skin fold dermatitis, otherwise known as intertrigo. It is associated with breeds that have excessive skin fold that trap moisture and present with an exudative, odoriferous, and erythematous presentation. That is why the raft looks like it stinks and is bright red. Ugh, what a smell. I don't know if you've ever smelled this before, but it's nasty. Let's move on to one of the boats that safely made it to shore. You know, these ships must have all been part of the cytology fleet. I mean, really? They painted microscopes on all of the ships? A microscope will be a recurring prop for any time we are diagnosing with cytology, as is the case for all 4 of the diseases we're talking about in this tale. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about treatment. Treatment is primarily cleaning and an antibiotic topical cream. Typically with something that has both antibiotics and glucocorticoids. Skin fold dermatitis has the additional option of surgical tacking or removal if it becomes a reoccurring problem. See this suture and the needle stuck into the shore, kind of like an anchor for the surviving life raft? Sometimes, as a side note, you also may need to give maintenance therapy with biocidal wipes. Grab your scuba gear, because next we're heading underwater. Notice all these weird fish? They're kinda strange looking, aren't they? There are a bunch of them clustered around that staff. Why are they all round? Why are they all such a hazy purple color? Are these ghost fish? Or maybe you could say pseudo-fish. These round, gram-positive purple cocci pseudofish are here to remind us of the commensal Staphylococcus pseudointermedius, the most common bacteria to cause all 4 of our conditions. Since we're just doing a shallow dive for now, we'll stay within our area representing superficial pyoderma, otherwise known as surface bacterial folliculitis. That's why all the rocks in the background kind of look like hair shafts. Ooh, look at the ocean floor. Is that an underwater volcano acting up? Nobody told me this might be dangerous. The red lava rock, the bubbling fissure, and the round, red, raised bumps are a reminder of papules, pustules, and epidermal collarettes. Hey look! There's another one of our cytology symbols. That flag must have fallen off one of the ships. After taking a history and seeing the clinical signs, you're going to want to perform cytology on these lesions to diagnose superficial bacterial folliculitis. See that tunnel over there? Yeah, we're gonna go in it. Never know what we might find. As we head deeper into the ocean, I really want you to start thinking deep pyoderma, or, as some call it, bacterial frunculosis. This tunnel actually reminds me an awful amount of a hair shaft. Perhaps that's because deep pyoderma starts in the hair shaft, and the antigenic keratin is how you end up with lots of inflammatory cells, which drive the production of pus. Clinical signs include ulcerative hemorrhagic bullae and draining tracts. I'd be willing to bet that has something to do with this spewing, exploding volcano up top. Is that a skeleton? Wait, does he have a monocle on? What a cultured fellow he must have been. And he's clutching one of our cytology flags. Remember, a culture and sensitivity should always be paired with your cytology for deep pyoderma. Let's continue our USS Pi adventure with a little bit of treatment. The primary treatment for superficial pyoderma is a topical treatment if possible, similar to surface dermatitis. If systemic antibiotics are needed, one of these three is considered your first line of action. A first-tier cephalosporin, an MLS-type lincosamide, lincomycin, clindamycin, or amoxicillin plus clavulanic acid. Notice there is an aloe plant with spores, the Lincoln log cabin, and moccasins connected by a clavicle. Yeah, I know that one's kind of a stretch. But they're near the ocean floor of clinical signs, and they don't have any fish around them. Typically, you treat for 1 week past resolution of clinical signs. That is why there is only one of each. Maintenance therapy may be needed to decrease reoccurrences. For deep pyoderma, we're going to put our treatment on the side of that volcano. After doing your culture, similar to superficial pyoderma, either a first-tier cephalosporin, an MLS lincosamide, lincosamine, clindamycin, or amoxicillin plus clavulanic acid are again your top 3 choices. On deep pyoderma, though, you treat 2 weeks past the resolution of clinical signs. That is why there are 2 of each of the symbols on the side of that volcano. Alright, I think our deep sea adventure is almost over. Let's go over this tale again. Pyoderma is typically a secondary process caused by the commensal Staphylococcus pseudointermedius. The 2 surface kinds, pyotraumatic dermatitis and intertrigo, are typically caused by a destruction of the keratin surface layer of the skin and can be treated with cleaning and an antibiotic cream. Superficial and deep pyoderma have more to do with the hair shafts. Superficial pyoderma clinical signs include papules, pustules, and epidermal collarettes. Deep pyoderma presents erythematous with hemorrhagic bullae. Cytology can be used as a diagnostics tool for both, but with deep pyoderma, you also should get a culture and sensitivity. First-line antibiotics include a first-tier cephalosporin, an MLS lincosamide, or amoxicillin plus clavulanic acid. You know, that was a pretty good review. And to think, this whole adventure started just because I wanted some pie.